I'm Bryan Day from Tickhill, a painter who's getting rather old, but I'm still painting, and I go away regularly down to Cornwall and do watercolours. Well, I started when I was 8 or 9 years old. I went to Tickhill Junior School at that time, and I started with the drawing a pencil and paper, which I did for quite some time. I used it for quite a long time, and I got a lot of satisfaction from doing that. In fact, what happened, that using the pen or pencil and paper, it opened my eyes to the prospects of painting. And when I got into my teens, which is a long time after this, I suppose, then I started to paint in watercolour, and I started to paint quite a lot. Yeah. At that particular time, I moved to Carlisle from Tickhill, and that gave me a lot more scope for painting, because I had the Lake District within an hour away, and I had the Solway Firth an hour away up into southern Scotland. Both areas were my favourite areas for painting for many years. Watercolour was my main medium. I started using that when in my teens, and as I got more experience, and then I went to Carlisle College of Art, and after which I went back to my own painting methods, which, although it's taken an awful long time, I've been doing it for a long time, with watercolours. Oh, I've got a few hundred watercolours in my studio now at this minute. But with oil paints, I started using oil paints, and then I had a one-man exhibition at Norham House. After that, I've painted and I've shown it at Edinburgh, at the Royal Scottish Academy, and the Royal Scottish Society of Painters in Watercolours. I sent my paintings there for 2 or 3 years. As far as people who impressed me, Joan Hurdley was the one that I really liked, because she painted, although she was a professional by this time, she painted in the way that I painted. I painted with some thick and thin paint, you know, and products were, in a way, a lot better, of course, but they were similar to my work. Then there was Robin Phillipson, a Scottish painter who was a marvellous colourist. I learned from him, but only later, because I couldn't paint with all the colours he used at that time. He was a very well-known Scottish painter. Then there was Winifred Nicholson. What inspires me is the Cornish coastline. Now I go there once or sometimes twice a year, and I paint around the coast, the rocks and the hills and the seas. Moving water particularly moves me. I really love painting water, moving water, you know, like that. Other than that, I enjoy other people's paintings, but I can't say that they inspire me much. I seem to paint in my own way now, and you know, it's easy. Then I don't even think about. There was one old watercolourist in Carlisle, a lovely man called Robert Rule, and he's the most wonderful watercolours. He helped me a lot at that particular time, and I've never forgotten him, and I've got a few sketches of his still to this day. I'd like to talk about number 26. I think it's the first one coming in. It's about the salmon nets, which most people in this area won't know what I'm talking about. But I thought before I look at that painting, I could just show you a rough example of a realistic in my mind anyway, a realistic painting of the salmon nets. Now the salmon nets are only on the Scottish side of the Solway. They're not in England, they're not allowed in England, but what happens is with the salmon nets, they're in tall stakes, sometimes 20 foot tall, and they're stuck into the Solway, right out into the middle of the Solway when it's empty, when the water's out. When the water actually comes in, the tide, it can be 10 or 12 feet deep in these places, and that's when the salmon get caught. They get trapped in these nets, and when the tide goes out, the fisherman who owns the nets comes and picks out his salmon and takes them away. To my mind, it was never they never caught too many while I was there, at least, because I used to go down there a lot painting. But the changing light and water on the Solway, it always inspired me. Yeah, I used to go down that and paint on the Solway a lot, and salmon nets was a favourite paint of mine because it gave me something interesting in the middle distance. And when I went down on many occasions, I saw the fishermen go down and collect the salmon and take them away, you know. And on a few occasions, on one particular occasion, 3 children went down. I think there were 3 boys, and they went down and they're foraging the nets, looking for fish that had been left, small fish, you know, and flatfish, things like that. And they were coming up, and I could see them carrying fish. And although you won't see many fish, you'll see one on that painting just inside the door, and that was interesting. Now coming to the second one, which is that one there, it's Land's End. And the reason it was interesting for me was that was painted probably 40 years ago. And I went back within the last year anyway, and I couldn't believe it. Because when I first went, you could scramble around the rocks, do what you wanted, painted, which I did. When I went recently, you can't get near the coast. It's for safety reasons. They seem to have fences all around, preventing you get onto the rocky area. So I was a bit disappointed about that. So it's interesting, but it's not the Land's End that I knew. And it's not, and I tried to get down to a place where I might do a painting, but I couldn't find one. It was there were people walking past all the time, and there's a fence directly in front of me, stopping me get to where I wanted to be. Yeah. Other than that, with all the paintings I've done over the years, nowadays, of course, I paint watercolours on the spot in Cornwall, and I've got an awful lot of paintings at home, watercolours, and I use these to work on abstracts. And a number of these you see around here have dwelt on the fact that they're related to watercolours, you know, in the past. Other than that, I don't think I've much more to say. I just hope that people come in and look at the work.